Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and patch 11.15 is the ultimate catch-up patch for the War Within expansion, at least so far, offering players, either those of you that are currently playing, that are looking to play a brand new odds, or returning players, an opportunity to level a brand new character to max level as quickly as it's ever been possible. With a brand new buff of Winds of Mysterious Fortune, players are able to boost the amount of XP you can gain on a character, as well as earn additional EXP potions that can even be used way later after the event is over, though together all of these buffs for experience do stack up, resulting in up to 75% additional EXP gains in the open world, maybe even 85% depending if it's a holiday or a Darkman Fair event that is currently available. And with that much XP gain, right now is the best time to level up brand new odds that you always wanted to check out and play for the season, or if you're a returning player, this would be the best time for you to reach max level as quickly as possible. For this video, I want to go over some of the different things you can do to maximize your XP gains, as well as the best routes if you're trying to cut down on that leveling experience as quickly as possible. So let's go over how to take advantage of these massive set of buffs and how to maximize our leveling gains in a patch 11.15. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for the War Within expansion, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So first of all, before we dive into the actual routing, let's go over the quick prep work, because being able to prep your character with a couple of buffs and bonuses ahead of time, while not mandatory, can definitely help out the adventure and journey. And the first two prep work items, I think are pretty much almost a necessity, if not just recommended. The rest, it's kind of really up to you. Now, the first one is going to be the new leveling potion that is available from the Winds of Mysterious Fortune. As you complete activities within Khazalgar or within the Dragon Isles, you will be eligible for a daily bonus satchel that has a variety of fun potions, even cosmetics, and even leveling gear for a character, though these can only be acquired by characters that are still in that leveling range. You will not be able to get these on a level 80 character, so you have to have a character that can still gain experience within the zones of Dragon Isles or Khazalgar. Good thing, next to the Dragon Isles city of Thaldraszus, there's a bunch of mobs that you can just swoop down, slay, and there's a pretty good chance that a handful of them will grant you that daily bonus satchel immediately. And that is how you could farm up a bunch of Bottle of Mysterious Wisdom Potions, which are the new EXP buffs that are available. They are warbound and they'll continue to stack up, and you should try to farm up as many of these as you can during this month while the event is active, because you'll continue to be able to use these potions after the event is gone. For any reason, if you're going to be leveling characters later down the line, those would be a fantastic potion to use in the near future. Now, another XP potion you can pick up is the Draw to 10 Lands, which is the Battle for Azeroth Warband potion. Or not Warband, but rather Warfront. All of these words are starting to kind of blend together at some point, but these are going to be available from either your Warfront Horde faction or the Alliance side of the faction. And they're going to come from the Warbound Quartermasters for Service Medals. Service Medals is something you can obtain as a currency from completing a variety of different world quests within the Warfronts as well. If a Warfront is active, it'll usually have a portal out here. Right now, the Darkshire Warfront is available for the Horde players, so doing world quests there can give you a couple of service medals. Or you can always check to see if you have a weekly quest that's available. If you're Alliance, it should be for the 7th Legion faction, and for the Horde, it should be the Honor Bound. And then those boxes that you get at the end of that run also can award you additional service medals in order to be able to purchase this potion. It is a potion with a bit of limitation. It gives you 10% more experience and stats, as well as a boost to stats for 1 hour, but can only be used in characters that are level 49 or below. So what you would want to do is right before you hit the level 50, where you can no longer use the potion, you actually want to sip down on it so you can continue to receive the Draw to 10 Lands experience buff, because the buff will stay. You'll just be way above that level in order to be able to even consume the potion, but the buff will continue to run if you already have one active. Besides this, there's also other items that you can use in order to help out on your leveling journey, one of them being a guild vendor. And if you have a high enough reputation with your guild, you should be able to pick up Standard of Unity, the Battle of Coordination, as well as the Banner of Cooperation. And these standards, while they're active, will provide you with additional EXP. So you do have to be part of a guild, and that character needs to be at least with friendly reputation of that guild. But if you do have access to these banners in your guild, they can definitely be helpful. They're not going to be constantly useful, but if, let's say, you're going to be in an area that you're going to be sticking around in for a while, like if it has a bonus objective or a bunch of enemies for you to slay, it's a good idea to drop this banner just to squeeze out a little bit more experience. But their usefulness it really depends on the situation and the area that you are in, because the range isn't insanely high. It's only 100 yards, but if you're constantly moving from point A to B, you can quickly get out of the range very, very quickly. Besides this, there's also other items you can pick up on the auction house, things like the Goblin Glider to reduce your falling speed, which can be nice in some of the areas where you can just jump off a cliff and really traverse quite a bit of distance. This becomes less good because dragon or sky riding is a thing, but it can still be useful in some situations. Fried bonefish can be a food you can purchase where it'll give you a slight speed buff every time you kill an enemy, which can be nice when going from mob to mob when completing quests. If you're ever going to be in an area where there's a lot of water and you need to get through it very, very quickly, Surfer Skimmer is also pretty good. As well as gumshoes, which basically give you like a secondary sprint to your character. This can be very useful if you are in an area where you can't mount, like you're in combat, but you need to get from A to B very, very quickly. That can help you just really zoom through one spot to another, and they are really, really nice for some of the quest completions, because some quests will slow you down your movement speed, for example, like if you're carrying an item, but gumshoes could actually kind of counteract that slow and allow you to get some of these quest objectives completed a little bit quicker. Then also mount equipment could be useful, like light stub hoof plates could be very, very great, especially when it comes to just increasing the movement speed of your ground mounts. Again, skywriting is a thing, so you don't really need extra movement speed, but in some areas you will not be able to fly, like especially at the start of the Draenor intro that you could do for additional EXP. Their light step hoof plates can be very, very useful just to get around that zone a little bit quicker. Finally, we have heirlooms, which are definitely a convenience, but not necessarily mandatory. I guess it really depends on you, because technically heirlooms, what's nice about them is they continue to scale with the character as they gain levels, but they're always a little underpowered compared to some of the alternative gear that you can get just from quests, so they're not necessarily going to be better. I think if you don't level a lot, the rested experience bonuses can be nice, but if you're trying to boost through this really quickly, you're not really going to get much to those bonuses. But I guess like the tier set where holy damage you do, that can be kind of nice and such. But I think where heirlooms are the best in is if you have any of the Mr. Pandaria ones that have multiple sockets in them, those can be really, really good because socketed items tend to scale super well. Whether you put damage sockets in them or things like speed sockets, which will increase your character's movement speed while you're questing out in the open world, which can just make it a little bit faster for you to get from objective to objective, from enemy to enemy, and thus increasing your leveling speed, making it just a little bit faster. So when you take a look at all the different preparations and all of the different XP buffs combined together, you're looking at roughly 25% from the Warbound EXP, or up to 25% depending on how many ults you have. The more max level characters you have, the more over this buff you can gain, up to the cap of 25. Then you also got the event that is currently active with the Mysterious Winds, 20% buff from there alone, plus also 10% from the EXP potion that is linked to this event, which is pretty easy to get. If you are running the BFA potion on top of it, that can also add you 10% additional XP, with also 10% for more mode for open world leveling, which results in 75% more experience gains for all of your characters. If you have any other holidays or events or Darkman Fair is up, you look at a 10% XP on top of that with all these effects stacking, so potentially up to 85% more experience gains when it comes to questing out in the open world. So when it comes to your leveling route, if you're not starting with a allied race character, you'll start at level 1. And if you're making a level 1 baseline character like a Night Elf or a Draenei or a good old Orc, then I think the fastest method of leveling will actually be Exile's Reach, rather than starting out in your own faction starting area. It feels slow, like Exile's Reach, especially early on with all these tutorials, is going to feel at first somewhat slower, but it's actually the most, and proven so, the most efficient way of leveling a brand new character. And the zone itself is surprisingly efficient. And just getting through it to the end, even doing that little dungeon at the end, is actually the most efficient way of leveling a brand new character. It is actually faster, and this has been tested to be faster than all the other starting zones. Although you can skip this step if you are looking to play an allied race like a Void Elf or potentially a high mounted Tauren or a Mago Orc. At level 10, it's a good idea to dip into the expansion of Legion from Chromie time immediately. Just start the Legion expansion and do the skip to get to the Legion version of Dalaran. If you've never done it, at some point you probably should do it on at least your main character or one character, just so you can unlock a skip for all of the other characters later down the line. And all you have to do is enter the Legion version of Dalaran and turn in your very, very first quest to unlock the ability to use the Dalaran Hearthstone. Previously, before you do the step, you can't actually use the toy to transport to Legion version of Dalaran Hearthstone until you complete that quest. And after that, you just go back to Stormwind and Orgrimmar. We can now begin our leveling journey, and we'll be using this Dalaran Hearthstone to get back to Orgrimmar or Stormwind very, very quickly, primarily to enable the War Mode, 10% additional gain XP bonus, or if you're trying to level in other expansions that are looking to be more efficient. But from there, the way that you level a character is really up to you. You can choose any way you want to level. Either if you want to do Chromie time and pick your favorite expansion, you could do so and just stick to the main story of that expansion and enjoy your time. Or if you're looking to get a bunch of rewards for this event, because the satchels work within Dragon Isle zones as well as in the Kaz Algar, you could level through the Dragonflight expansions just to get more of those satchels. However, if you are looking to be most efficient with your leveling, like get the most amount of levels in the least amount of time spent, certain zones for Horde and Alliance are going to be way more efficient than others, and they've been provingly so more efficient than anything else that is available. So if you are looking to level as quickly as possible, I do want to go over the specific routes that Alliance and players can take between levels 10 to 70 to get to level 70 as quickly as humanly possible. Now, the leveling journey from there is going to be different depending if you're a Horde player or an Alliance player. So I'm going to go over the 10 to 70 Alliance player experience first. Your experience is actually going to be really easy. After you make your way through Broken Isles version of Dalaran, you'll then go back to Elven Forest where all good things begin. Majority of the quests you'll actually do though is in Eastvale Lodging Camp, all the side quests in that area, and after you complete it, you actually immediately move on into the zone of Red Ridge. And for the most part, you do the entirety of Red Ridge as it is the most efficient area to go through, and you'll follow the main quest chain up until you encounter the quest Prisoners of War. That's where you're going to back out and then head south into the zone of Duskwood. And essentially, you're going to be doing the entirety of that zone until you get the final quest to kill Morladim. And throughout the journey, while you're questing within Duskwood or Red Ridge, when you hit 20, make sure to use the Dalaran Hearthstone to go back to Stormwind to turn on War Mode, because it's going to make that leveling that much quicker, and will be leveling in areas where, for the most part, you should be encountering other players of the Horde faction, so you shouldn't really have other players stopping your progress. After you're done with this zone, you're going to be transferring yourself north into Loch Madan, and this area is also very efficient for Alliance players, where you'll be able to get a bunch of experience out of this entire area. Just make sure you start your questing experience in the Valley of Kings, and then continue progressing throughout the rest of the zone. After finishing out that place, you'll actually head back to Stormwind, and you'll be switching to another area, specifically another timeline of Draenor, where you'll want to first do the Tanan Jungle starting experience for Warlords Draenor, which from there is going to take you to Shadowmoon Valley. In Shadowmoon Valley, the only quests you really want to do are the ones to set up your garrison, and afterwards, as soon as you get your first follower, you could abandon the place entirely, and the best places you're going to be able to quest in are Gorgrond, Talador, and Spires of Arak. Gorgrond in particular is exceptionally good, as there's a lot of bonus objectives, side quests, and most of them are really efficient when it comes to additional levels, though if you need to continue for more levels, Talador and Spires of Arak are also fantastic up until you reach level 70. Now, when leveling as a Horde character, your 10 through 70 experience is going to be a little bit different, but it primarily is going to be in 2 zones. After you make your way back to Orgrimmar, you'll then want to head over to Undercity to then do the entirety of Silverpine Forest. This zone is incredibly efficient when it comes to just the raw amount of XP you can get. Even though it has a lot of these RP elements early on, it is still one of the best zones for the Horde players all time around. It is super incredibly good and definitely gives you one of the best amounts of experience for completing nearly the entirety of this zone. The only time you really want to slow down, however, is when you get the quest Sowind Discord down in the south to kill a bunch of dwarves. You also want to kill a couple of crocs in the water as well to get the quest from the Belly of the Beast. And after these 2 quests, you want to abandon the rest of the zone and head into Hillsbrad Foothills. And essentially from there, you kind of just want to clear the entirety of Hillsbrad Foothills, all of the side quests and all of the major quests that are available for your faction. After that, you'll then abandon Azeroth altogether and head into the alternative timeline of Draenor, doing the WoD intro, which is incredibly good. And after that, you also set up your garrison within your Frostfire Ridge, mostly doing all the quests to at least set up your garrison and get your first follower. Afterwards, you want to abandon the zone completely, heading to Gorgrond, Talador, and Spires of Rock as the 3 most efficient areas, usually starting off with Gorgrond. And in most cases, you can actually stay with so many different XP buffs that are available. You should be able to stay in Gorgrond for a huge majority of the part just to get to level 70. But 3 of those zones are going to be the most efficient when it comes to gaining additional EXP. Once you reach level 70, you'll be able to head over to Kaz Algar, and you'll be able to start the Intro to Dorne questline in the main capital city of Dorne. At the very beginning, you can select which timeline or which storyline you want to follow, and the Isle of Dorne story quests are actually super efficient. For the most part, you can just follow the main story of Isle of Dorne and get so much EXP, and it's going to be one of the most efficient ways for you to get to max level. And as you do that main questline story, after you get to meet your Council of Dornogal for the first time, quote-unquote, on that character, you'll then want to head over down to the center area called the Crossroads Plaza and grab all of the side quests in that area as well as the delve quests while you're at it. So as you grab all the side quests, if you're ever in the local area and there's a side quest nearby, definitely go out of your way to do it if it's somewhere near you. But for the most part, we'll be following the main storyline of Isle of Dorn, following those quests, but picking up side quests along the way. It's also a good idea to do all the side quests in Feywild Village, except for the one, the jewel crafting one that takes you towards way out into the shores of Isle of Dorn, though the rest of them are definitely worth doing while you are there. When you get to the area with the theater, that's more or less where you want to abandon the main story quests. Like, we're just not going to do any of those quests, we're just going to abandon it completely, and instead we're going to focus on all the different side quests within the rest of the Isle of Dorn. One of the best ones is going to be a quest of Before I Depart, and you'll be able to do a bunch of quests or a bunch of objectives around the Morning Rise area. Though you should only do the first wave of these objectives. You don't got to do all of them, just the first like 3 or 4 that's available at the very start of the side activity. Afterwards, you want to move on to Durga's cabin and do all of those side quests all the way until you wake up the mountain giant near the waterfalls. Then you want to head over to Rambleshire, and all of those side quests are also very, very efficient. And once you finish those side quests, you can basically just go from delve to delve, obtaining the delve quest, and then turning it in once you do that delve on tier 2 difficulty. So you're just going from one delve to the next, picking up the quest, completing it, and then going to turn it in. And those delve quests give you so much experience, and technically, since you're turning that quest out in the open world, it also gets the warband bonus, allowing you to get a ton of experience for each completed delve. And then from there, finishing up delve quests is more or less how you're going to be able to go anywhere between 70 to 80 in no time. But that's going to be more or less the route that you would take if you're really trying to be hyper efficient with your leveling. But even if you just end up doing chromie time and just following the main story of your favorite expansion, that is also going to be just fine, especially for that 10 to 70 bracket. The Isle of Dorn, I do think is, well, especially for 70 to 80, is the most efficient. It is very, very quick, especially with the delves on top of it. The delves themselves are not great for XP, but the quests are amazing. So if you could just crank out a couple of levels through the main storyline and do as many side quests as possible, just going through the rest of the delves should be just enough to get your character max level, or at least pretty close to, with all of these different buffs available at the same time. But with that, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this quick little guide. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community to keep up with all the regular patch 11.15 changes or any kind of patch notes or class tuning, which I could totally see them do over these next few weeks as they continue to tune our classes for this season. As always, let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.